History Month is important to me because it not only serves as a time to remember and celebrate all the amazing women throughout history who have fought for our rights and equality, but also a reminder to myself that I too can be strong in the face of adversity.
Being a woman means having strong self-identity and being confident.
Being a woman to me means rewriting the rules.
Being a woman is a complex experience that cannot be defined or limited.
Being a woman means to me is being strong, creative, beautiful, and powerful.
To be my natural self unapologetically.
Being strong and emotional.
Doing what we want to do, no matter who's telling us no or what obstacles are in the world.
Having a sense of community with other women.
To feel deeply and be fully embodied in my creativity, sensuality, intuition, assertiveness, and independence. To be compassionate and spiritually grow and nurture what's fertile in my life.
It's a journey full of joy, challenges, and unique perspectives.
That is what being a woman means to me.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to the BullCast. I'm Jenna.
And I am Kayla.
And we are the executive producers. Happy Women's History Month! Tonight we will be featuring some very empowering women.
So sit back and enjoy the show.
All right, thank you, Jenna and Kayla, for that introduction. My name is Kelsey Foresta. I'm your host today, and I'm interviewing Vanessa, who is also a part of BullCast. Vanessa, if you could just introduce yourself and talk about your podcast and also your part as being on the team of BullCast and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am also the photographer and social media of BullCast. But other than that, I have a podcast. It's called Flourish with Ness. It's basically a very real, authentic wellness podcast that anybody can listen to better themselves, or if you just want to relate to a situation.
All right, perfect. And what inspired you to start this podcast and about, the themes of it and everything?
Okay, so silly thing is I actually was on a TikTok live and somebody told me I should start a podcast because I had a really good voice and explain my platforms. And TikTok only gives you so much time, so I just kind of did that. And I just started a podcast.
All right, so you've had guests before on your podcast. How have you gone about picking your guests who are going to be featured on your podcast, as well as the topics that you introduce?
So all of my guests actually come from my own audience, and I ask my audience every week, what do you want to hear and who do you want to hear? And it's in a poll, and they give me feedback, and that's how I pick.
Okay, awesome. And so from the start of your podcast to now, how have you flourished over time?
I have flourished myself, honestly, from where I started. It was a lot of self-growth and talking through many situations to my audience. And from the beginning, I started with a good only 10 listeners for a few weeks, and now I'm up at about 100 listeners in my audience. So that's how I would say I've flourished, and I have my own new microphone, my own little studio setup at my house.
All right, that's amazing. And do you have any advice for people wanting to start their own podcast since, you've started your own?
Absolutely. I would say do it. Don't be scared. You're ultimately just talking to yourself at the end of the day, and use whatever equipment you have. If you want to do something, my biggest advice is just start. Don't hold back. It's a lot of fun, and you meet a lot of people doing it as well.
All right, thank you so much. That is so awesome.
Of course.
All right. What did... All right, so Vanessa just shared with us some of her content from her podcast. If you just want to talk about what you sent.
Yeah, so I actually sent in some of my merchandise that you can actually purchase on my merchandise website that you can find on my Instagram. If you go to @wellbyness, it's Flourish merch to support the podcast, and all the money goes to just making us grow and flourish better together on the podcast.
That is so awesome. Thank you.
Of course.
And so not only do you have your own podcast, but you also have a photography business, and you also do photography for us at BullCast.
Yes, I do.
So for your photography business, what kind of photography do you specialize in, and do you have a favorite type?
Okay, so I specialize mainly in portraits, people portraits, and my favorite type of photography that I do is senior portraits specifically. I love capturing the emotions before somebody graduates. You don't realize that everything is all about graduation, and then once they're behind that camera, it's all about them, and it's only about them. So you capture those emotions of feeling like, I finally made it. So seniors are my 100% my specialty.
That is so awesome. And what inspired you to, start your own business, especially with photography?
Okay, so actually my grandfather did photography. My uncle also does film and video. And I think I just kind of picked up the photography bug from them, watching them do stuff. And then I actually used to model for another photographer. And I've always been in love with a camera. My first Christmas present as a kid was a first digital camera that honestly came from Walgreens.
Yeah.
And I just got addicted to taking pictures. And I knew that this is what I wanted to do, because they say if you don't do something you love for your career, you're going to hate it. And I love my career.
That's amazing. I think that's very important too.
Yeah.
To like what you do. And how do you go about marketing your photography as well as your merch, even for your podcast? How do you market these things?
Yeah, social media. Social media is the absolute biggest thing. For photography, right now, the only way is dropping, I'm doing a photo shoot in a Facebook group, or is there anybody looking to, do a modeling session for me? That's the only way, other than right now for my merchandise, I'm looking to find influencers and try influencer marketing. But I market myself wearing my own merch and having my friends wear my merch as well.
That is awesome. And so since you have your own business, you set your own prices. How do you go about setting prices for your clients, as well as having to negotiate if needed?
Absolutely. So it goes honestly in between hours, the demand of the shoot, how many places we're going to go, how many outfit changes we're going to do. But I started, and I was just telling somebody before this, I started at $20 an hour 4 years ago. And on Facebook, I actually 4 years ago marked my official business journey start. So up until now, I had to build a portfolio, build my own name, my own brand, if you will. And I basically scale my worth into my price now.
That is amazing. And do you have any advice, for people wanting to start their own business, whether it's photography, podcasts, anything else?
The sky is the limit. If you want to start a business, more power to you. Just do it. There's nothing better and more rewarding than being proud of your own work and being your own boss. And if somebody is willing to pay thousands of dollars for a designer item, they should be willing to pay for yours as well.
All right. And do you have any memorable experiences with your business, whether it's, your photography or even your podcast? Anything willing to note that you want to share?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my most memorable within my influencing journey and podcasting journey is I worked with a brand called Nut Pods, which was a creamer that my mom introduced me to when I was 14. So I did a big brand deal with them and got featured on their social media, and that was one of my biggest things. And then when it comes to photography, I've done a lot of photography for some of the local 5-star restaurants, and I've also been published in the Tampa Bay Times, and I have won an award in my photography as well. And that was one of my most memorable things, was having my photography featured in New York Photography Awards.
Well, congratulations. That is absolutely amazing. Are there any experiences you've had with clients that maybe might not be so memorable in a good way?
Of course. And you'll always run into that being a business owner, and they're tough, but you just have to be honest, and you'll get through it. It's hard.
All right. And even for your podcast, do you have anything also like that you maybe want to share,
Difficult? Absolutely. I've definitely brought up hard topics and situations in my podcast about people, because my podcast comes, from my life and people inspired by, but I'm honest about it. And after any tough situation, I contact the person directly and I make sure I respect their feelings.
All right, well, that is amazing. Thank you so much for talking to me today.
Absolutely.
And up next, we have Audrey and HerCampus, and we're going to show some stuff that USF did for International Women's Day as well.
Hello, BullCast viewers. My name is Audrey Ward, and I'm going to be one of your hosts this evening. With me, I have...
Hi, I'm Mila Toshanova. I am the President and Editor-in-Chief of HerCampus at USF-SP.
Yes, so as we are highlighting Women's History this month, HerCampus is a very important organization, chapter on this campus. So first, I would like to start off, Mila. What is the significance of Women's History Month, and why is it important to celebrate?
So of course, women have made they've made countless contributions throughout history, both in journalism, of course, and just economically, in every field you can think of. So it's extremely important that because they are historically an oppressed group, that we devote some time to really appreciate the work they've done.
That's wonderful, yes. And continuing that, how have women made an impact in journalism?
So of course we have Oprah, who I feel like is the most well-known woman in journalism. But for me personally, I've always enjoyed reading Dolly Alderton. She has some wonderful memoirs out about her time learning, through school, learning about journalism and also her past life. She now publishes her work in actual books, and it's amazing. She's been a really big inspiration, I feel like.
That's wonderful. I'll definitely have to look into that. And for how has women's roles in society evolved over time, do you think?
Yeah,
I know that's a big open-ended question.
Yeah, I mean, of course, women have gained more rights over themselves, their bodies, and I think it's definitely a continuing fight because, there's always the pink tax and the wage gap, and we continue to fight for absolute equality. But I think there's been amazing progress, and there have been amazing women in history that are definitely unsung heroes.
Okay, yeah, definitely. And now switching on to how the HerCampus, on this beautiful USF St. Pete campus that we have, tell me what inspired, since you are the president of the HerCampus chapter, what inspired you to start this chapter?
It's kind of funny. I got bored during the last hurricane in the last semester. I definitely got very bored, and I was just kind of scrolling through Instagram. I found out that Tampa has a chapter. I was like, wow, we should have this here on St. Petersburg. It would be a great way to grow the community.
And how has it been given back feedback with it so far?
It's been pretty great. I did not expect it to kind of take so quickly. We have over 100 registered members, I think, and everyone's been really accommodating, very helpful. We're definitely grateful for all the help administration has given us.
And what are the goals and objectives of the HerCampus?
So we really want to focus on growing and giving back to the community. We are technically a magazine, so we try to really focus on what college students want to hear. We really base our articles off of that, and that's our main plot point, I guess, on how we would give back to the community and like really give students a space, I guess.
Okay, and so far, how has the articles, how often do the articles get published?
So we've been publishing regularly about 12 articles a week, and that is a lot. It's definitely been a hard thing to like really put out consistently, but our writers are amazing. Most of them are like journalism students. Most of them have some like background in writing. Okay. And so we've definitely seen them like kind of grow and get adjusted to HerCampus. And yeah, we're publishing 12 articles regularly, which I feel like is amazing.
Because you mentioned that none of you are in the journalism field, right? Everybody's, even like with the roles with this HerCampus, everyone is different background, right?
Yeah, because the way it started was very weird. Like I said, like it was during a hurricane. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, and so because I had only spent a semester at USF at that time, I was texting all of my friends. I was like, hey, like I'm starting this. Do you maybe want to join? And that's kind of how we got that like blend of students. But I think we're the better for it. Like there's definitely like different experiences.
Okay, yeah. And so I just want to know how your specific role as the editor-in-chief for the magazine, president for the HerCampus chapter, impacted your life.
I'm definitely a lot busier. I handle the university side of things, and I also correspond with nationals. And so it's definitely made me busier, but I think it's also like made me grow as a person. Like I definitely didn't used to be the type of person that would get in front of a crowd and like be like, okay, this is what we're doing today, like, and editing all these articles. So I think it's definitely helped grow my own confidence.
That's great to hear, because we all cherish that for being a woman, but to grow on that is very important in our youth. What are some of the biggest challenges that you face as a woman, and how does the HerCampus chapter help you address that? Or
I mean, I guess it's kind of like playing off of what I just said. Like, I think any woman can really relate. Being in a leadership position, sometimes you're not taken seriously, sometimes people doubt your abilities, and so I think being in HerCampus has helped me kind of learn how to set that aside and just be confident that I know what I'm doing and that I know like where I'm going with HerCampus. So I think like it's one of those things where you learn as you grow. Okay,
and because you mentioned to me that there is someone who controls the social media, that controls the marketing for all of it, but I know, how does the HerCampus promote the female empowerment and support its members in achieving their personal goals?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, we have 5 executives. We have people in charge of social media, marketing, events. Because of all of these different departments that we do, we have teams, and each executive is in charge of one. Inside those teams, there are different leadership positions. For example, in events, we have 2 kind of event managers that really help our executive execute everything. And then right now, we're actually looking for some spots in marketing and social media, so that's another opportunity for people to get involved, get some leadership experience, and grow their own resumes. We also, through nationals, we do offer an internship. It's every semester. The deadline for the semester has unfortunately passed, but it is another way for people to grow their experience, their resumes, and they are required to build a portfolio, which I think is very helpful in like future careers.
Okay, so tell me more as to what are some of the skills or the knowledges that you've gained through your members in this chapter, in this club.
Because we struggle a lot with this idea that because it says HerCampus, we're only for women, we've always had to be like, no, we're not, like we accept everybody. And because of that, it's like kind of taught me how to cater to a wider audience, like be explicit in what I say, and that like I learn how to bring people together from like different backgrounds, different experiences. Some of our members might never interact besides like our chapter meetings. And so we really try to get them talking, make some friends. Like that really is like what this is about. We want you to have a community where you feel safe, accepted, like that you can make friends through.
Right. No, this is definitely a perfect campus for this. We're a very small campus. We're a commuter campus as well. And I'm sure you've seen how students interact with each other. Everybody gets to know one another.
I feel like everybody knows everybody on a campus this small,
Yes, but it's beneficial. And just to close off here, I just have two quick questions really quickly. So how do the members, kind of like what we were just talking about, how do the members stay connected and communicate, you know, outside of the meetings or events?
I feel like all of our members know each other. At least like our regular membership that comes to our chapter meetings, I feel like they all know each other to where they are friends with at least one or two people outside. I mean, they of course do their own things, but like for me personally, our executive team is very close. We made a point for that to be the case.
Right.
So we get coffee, we hang out, like we'll watch movies. And I think it's been great kind of seeing people make connections, because from the start of the semester to now, like I've seen people be like, oh, like I'm now best friends with this person, and that's wonderful to hear. Like, I'm so glad we could do that for you.
I'm sure. And is there anything else that you would like to mention to our viewers? How can they find out about HerCampus?
So they can look us up on Instagram. We're at hercampus.usfsp. And you can also come to our general body meetings. They're every Wednesday, 5:30 at the Edge. We leave the door open so nobody can get lost, because we had that happen multiple times. But yeah, I think the best way is really just come to our general body meetings. We're having a presentation night this Wednesday, and just talk to me after. I'll get you set up. Like, we'd be excited to have anybody.
Perfect. Well, that's so exciting. I might even join myself.
You should.
I know I graduate this semester though,
no, you
but
should.
I mean, I still have time to join the club and the chapter. So Mia, thank you so much for joining the BullCast viewers here. I hope you guys tune in for the rest of our show here this evening. We have Courtney Brown, who she's going to be interviewing the Vice President of HerCampus chapter here later on this evening. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Courtney Brown, and today we are joined with Vice President of HerCampus, Izzy Annunziata. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good.
All right, all good. And with the theme being Women's History Month, I wanted to ask, what comes to mind when you just hear Women's History Month?
Empowering women, letting them have a voice, especially in the business world where you can get talked over, even in journalism, as we were talking about, how men tend to dominate journalism in general, and making sure women have a voice.
Exactly. And how does HerCampus celebrate Women's History Month?
Well, we had a conversation. We led a conversation with all of our members about Women's History Month, what it means to be a woman to you, to the group, and then we're hosting a movie night for Women's History Month. So yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of ties into my question. How do you guys, as HerCampus, help the community outside of your publication or your magazine? How do you guys help off campus?
So recently we had a clothing swap where everything that did not get swapped from our other members went to Out of the Closet, which promotes AIDS research with all of their proceeds. And we hope to do more things like that in the future.
No, that's super interesting. That's super like impactful for the community. I know like awareness, especially with AIDS, is super like it's not talked about enough, and it's great that you guys are making those strides to have those conversations. Speaking of conversations, what are some kind of miscommunications that people may have about HerCampus with the name like HerCampus?
HerCampus is HerCampus. We cannot take the her out of HerCampus. We are not only for her. That's something we want to get out there, that we are not only for her, we are for everyone. We are for Gen Z, by Gen Z.
And you kind of touched on it. You said you can't take the her out of HerCampus, and kind of speak on that. Like what?
So we're a national organization. We are not only us. We are a global chapter. We're a national organization, so we cannot take the her out of HerCampus. We are under one big group, under so many. So if we wanted to change I guess we could petition. I mean, we could just go at it, but
just being the national.
Yeah, we're like, you're gonna have to change the name.
Yeah.
We decided.
And speaking on it, so what kind of stories can people expect coming from your publication of HerCampus?
Everything. Whatever our writers want to write, they can write it. The first week I wrote about how to stay motivated in this semester, and then the next week I said, oh, shaving is sexist, and then the next week I was talking about transgender rights. So really, whatever these people want to write about, you're going to hear about it.
And that's what we need. We need a bunch of different scenarios and different topics to talk about.
Yeah.
And kind of speaking on, why did you, how does being a woman in journalism kind of like impact you and your journey? I know you're not specifically a journalist, but being a writer kind of constitutes that.
Just, of course, it's going to impact what I write about and what I want to write about and what I see and how I see everything.
It's just ingrained.
It's just ingrained in me.
And what kind of, what would you say was like the most impactful story that you've written so far, at least for you?
I think shaving is sexist was my most impactful because I sent it to my entire family and I was like, hey guys. And they were like, wow. Especially from an older generation, they were like, because they had these ingrained ideas about what they have to look like. And I was like, no, let's throw it out the window and let's think about it in a whole new light. And they were like,
It's definitely hard to kind of try to skew a worldview that like most people, especially like Western perspective of like grooming. That's such a hard topic to kind of like disband and try to tell people, oh, it's kind of fine to grow it all out.
Yeah, do whatever you want, as long as it makes you happy.
As long as it makes you happy. And what are some journalists that, women journalists who you look up to?
My journalism teacher back in high school, actually, I was like, I'm never doing journalism again. I'm never doing journalism again. And then I got sucked back into it, and she was like, you're gonna be great. You're gonna have the time of your life. And she taught me how to be a leader. She really implemented a lot of things into me, like not having so much control, letting these people do whatever they want, as long as it's like not gonna hurt anyone else. Yeah.
And in your past as a journalist, student journalist, were you already in leadership roles before? Or did that kind of come as more as you like were with her and like were taught by her?
I was an editor for 3 years of high school. So this was nothing new. I just didn't know that I'd be back.
And so what were some of those skills that you had to like transfer from like high school? Because high school to college level is a bit different, but like how did you like, what did you see kind of was the same and kind of like different on another scale?
The leadership was definitely the same because it was just like, okay, these people are going to do, well, it's different because they were there for a grade and these people are there because they want to be there.
And that makes all the difference.
Yes, people will do anything for a grade and I know it. So it's so much nicer to just have these people, like as Mila said, we're publishing 12 articles a week. Like, that would not happen. That would not happen if people were there for a grade, you know? Like, it's completely different.
And talk to me about, why is HerCampus beneficial for the USF St. Pete campus? Why is that publication so important to have here?
I think it's important, even though we are a primarily women-dominated campus, I think it's important just to have a place where, I mean, we can speak and we can educate others on women's topics, although we're not only for women. I think it's a good place to have a safe space for everyone, just in general.
That's perfect. And what kind of experience do you hope readers would gain from after reading any of the articles from your publication?
The news is really scary nowadays. So I hope that these people are not scared and that either they come home with some information or they're just really excited about a new place to go in St. Pete, or yeah, just have a better time.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
I don't think so.
All right.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
This was a beautiful conversation. I really appreciate you for taking your time out to come join us today.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you guys for joining in, and today we're going to be putting it off to the host in the studio.
Hello, friends. We hope you enjoyed the show tonight.
Don't forget to check out our next show, April 3rd, as we feature Chancellor Hardegree and some alumni who have appeared on the show before.
It's a show that you don't want to miss.
Until then, have a great night, and
Go Bulls!